Welcome back to part 2, season 6, episode 6. It's the end. All right, Joseph, we ready for some questions?
Yeah. Give me well, are we doing Simply the Best first?
Simply the best. Yeah, let's do it.
Apparently we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to play that when Ken Fisher would walk into the room.
No. What? No, the one we did for Ken Fisher was "You're the best around."
That's it. Sorry, that's it. Yeah,
Cobra Kai. Yeah,
Cobra Kai.
That Karate Kid theme. Yeah,
Dude, I mean, God bless Ken. Some of my deepest belly laughs have been at his expense, and I love him to death. He's a great guy. But Ty was merciless. Was that merciless?
Yeah.
Ty roasted him.
Ken gave back as good as he got.
He did.
Ken was not helpless. You're not beating up a child when you pick on Ken. Ken will come for you.
Alrighty, from this episode, what would you guys say who gave the best performance?
Amos's chair. That chair was amazing. Yeah,
the ring wraith that ate Marco.
I don't answer these questions. Next.
Yeah, Joseph, this is like, come on.
Okay, well, we all know who was the best Chad in this episode.
We're too old to understand this question.
So Chad's like annoying rich frat boy, like the Chad.
Who is the most annoying D-bag guy?
Douchebag in the whole. I'm
not answering these questions.
He's not answering.
No.
Okay,
Yeah. No.
Okay, who delivered the best? What was the best line in the episode then?
No, you can't.
Best line in the episode.
Best line. Yeah.
To think about that.
I'll tell you my favorite. I got a favorite, but
yeah, I got a favorite too. Go ahead.
No, what's yours?
Mine was just when drummer says, "I will not be reasoned back into my place."
Mine is drummer saying, "Why is your word good enough for me and mine not good enough for you?"
Oh yeah,
because every drummer line in that whole sequence is just fire.
Very good.
Yeah.
So in a way, that answers all the questions.
Yeah. Kara, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
It's a great ending for that character and a great arc for the show. You know, it does come very full circle from the opening.
Who had the best death, Marco or Walker?
I think Marco. I think Marco for the reason that we just talked about, because watching this, I forgot how he died. And I did not want him to have this heroic...
I got to ask Joseph, what do we mean by best? Do we mean most badass or most appropriate? Because I would argue Marco has the most appropriate death. Yes. Walker has the most badass death.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would go with Walker because it was badass.
It was badass.
He asked you a question, you just said correct. Which one is it? Is it the badass or
badass.
Is it then that's Walker. That's Walker.
Okay. All right.
But from a writer's perspective and a character development perspective, like Marco dying is perfect. Anyway, go ahead.
Walker was one of those characters. I wish we had more time with him because he was just hilarious and a great flavor. I wish I had gone back and started him in season 4 and it just and had like more episodes to play with him and drummer because they had great chemistry and his entrance is hilarious.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
I intimidate Marco sexually.
Yes. I was trying to ask that. I was trying to figure that one out. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, no, he that guy delivered that line too. That was beautiful.
Coming from him and beautiful Keon. He was so good. And then
I like how he always called Vanessa Cargo. Even after he knew what her name was. She was just Cargo.
Alrighty, last two questions. I think we've already answered this one. The best shot, scene, and special effects shot, I think, is
Amos in the chair.
Amos in the chair.
Yeah.
And that leads us to some questions that our patrons would like to know. Okay, so Ty and Daniel, go ahead.
Before we move on, so that shot in the chair, how was that conceived? Was that in the original script? Like, how was that conceived? Because I mean, and by the way, I remember watching it this season 6, and then I watched it once during the finale and I haven't seen it again, and I was like, oh my God. He's like, ah! fucking missiles and shit's exploding.
As always, it's a collaboration. The action sequence is very close to the one that Naren asked me to lay out for the script. But once we had sort of penciled that action sequence in, Breck jumped in and really is the one who conceived, I think, with you, Naren, the whole chair sequence of like the camera moving around the chair and all of that stuff.
I mean, Breck choreographed it. We wrote it that way. It was just a fun way to pay off the whole setup with the cargo containers and just the ability to linger in a moment like that. This terrifying drop.
It's fucking awesome.
It's just fun. I mean, it's like part of the fun of any big action scenes, or where you can really illuminate the emotion of any element of it. And what we were trying to do is literally every step of the way just drive into everything that we had. And it's like that's and the counterpoint is Bobby just coming down as cool as can be.
And when I said Bobby was a Chad, that's what I meant. Is like poor Amos is like screaming for his life through the whole way, and like hits the ground and falls down, and then Bobby just like glides in and lands. Like, is everybody ready to go? That's specifically the sequence I was thinking of with the whole Chad thing.
But it also captures the craziness of what they're doing. Like they're just sending these fucking cargo things, and if it didn't have that moment of like being out and then fucking missiles and guns, and it makes you feel how wild and crazy and unpredictable that whole thing is.
And that's why I'm trying to give some credit to Breck for this, because the original version of it, everybody's in these cargo containers. It was Breck who came to us and said, can we get them out of the cargo containers before they land? Can we have them just in the chairs so that they can see all the stuff that's happening? Right. That was Breck's idea. And I mean, obviously, it turned out great. So give Breck a lot of credit for that. I mean, the choreography of the ship comes and it dumps off cargo containers land and let soldiers out to fight. That was all the original script idea that we on the writing side came up with. But it was Breck who said, let's get them out of these things. Let's get them out where they can see the shots being fired and have bullets flying past and stuff, which really made the sequence much better. So give Breck credit.
And I do love how it's like Amos just like flops like a flounder on the deck. And originally, I think we shot it where the chair comes crashing down onto the deck, and then it shatters, and then I roll out of the chair, and then Bobby lands right next to me.
I think we couldn't quite afford that element of it. I think it was
Well, and there's supposed to be empty containers sort of crashing down all around you guys. Yeah. But we couldn't afford that either. So
right.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, you were there. It's insane what was accomplished in the amount of time that we had to shoot.
Oh my God. When I think about, so season 6 was the only season that I didn't have fun shooting. It was the only time that I didn't love shooting The Expanse. And when I think about what, people talk about how you guys stuck the landing and pulled off this amazing ending, and I'm like, dude, if you would have seen what they went through, like, it's like I picture like Donkey, like there's a guy like just rolling barrels that explode, and you guys are having to jump over, duck under like this. It's like COVID, no money, 6 episodes, fuck you. And you're like, trying to make it up the thing to pull it off, and you guys fucking pulled it off, man. You guys pulled it off. It was the only time, like, usually when we shoot The Expanse, we're going to dinner every night. We're hanging out at each other's house. We're rehearsing on Sundays. Yeah. It's just fun. Yeah. It's like you show up to work, you're laughing your ass off, you're shooting, you're having a good time. We're hanging out after, we're going to these things, and it's a fucking blast. Season 6, the 2 things that were rough was like COVID, and it took away all the fun out of it. It's like they took a big vacuum and sucked all the fun out of it. And 2, we did the last episode first in the first block.
Yeah, I know.
And I know, sometimes like that happens, and that's TV and everything like that. But usually what we've had is we shot in blocks. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you get to the last episode, your character arc is just in you. You're exhausted. Yeah. It's like you literally lived through all the things the moment before, where you're coming from and where you're going. And so I was so looking forward to the finale of this thing of like just crushing through. And so to start it off in this environment where you're not connected to your friends, you're not connecting to this thing, and then you're shooting the finale. So the fact that it was pulled off is pretty impressive.
It really was the great disappointment for me of season 6, just the one time that we weren't all in the same place for that run, because we didn't get our last twirl around the dance floor, so to speak.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it still feels incomplete, you know.
Well, that means we'll do 3 more books, right? Then we'll make it complete.
Exactly. You know, then we get to do that, and then we get to have a fucking good time. We'll shoot in Atlanta. Right. Okay, Joseph.
Back to the questions. Well, I'm going to do one of them out of order, since you guys talked so much about Amos in the chair. Was Wes's chair scene a nod to Die Hard 2, where John McClane ejects from the exploding...
John McCain?
McClane, yeah.
John McCain.
Ejects from the exploding jet. And who did it better? Johnny Boy?
Of course it's McClane. Come on.
Yeah.
I disagree. I never thought of that, but I guess that's a fair comparison. You know what?
I would say it was not an influence on the script side, but might be on Breck's side, right?
You'd have to ask Breck. I think that would be a question for Breck, and he might say yes. He might say yes.
Yeah. By the way, how we did it, I don't know if we ever talked about how we did it, but I was on a lift, and there was a camera on a crane, and you guys spent some money on it. This was like a technological new thing, right? That crane that spun the camera around, that circled around me.
Well, it's a techno. I mean, but it was a very complicated shot. You know, it was a techno and a motion control techno, right? There's a techno dolly, effectively.
So the chair would tilt this way, and go up and down, and then the crane was like going around me, and the camera was circling, and I was like, like going around, like, and then you see it now, and it's just fucking bullets are like, he's like, like just going, just shit exploding in the air. I just watched. I've been rewatching Band of Brothers, and when you see like the flak that's exploding, and they're fucking in the thing, and you're like, you're about to jump out of a plane into this shit. And they jump out like, it's just coming like that.
Alrighty, everybody. For ending a show, what do you prefer? A nice bow or a wild curveball at the audience like Newhart or St. Elsewhere?
The thing that I'm most proud of with The Expanse, for me personally, is if you look at where the show started and where it ended, there is, and Wes knows I hate text scrawls, but there's a little text scrawl at the beginning of season 1 that lays out the situation in the solar system. And the very last episode of the show answers all the questions that are raised there. It's talking about why all the instability is about to happen, and the last episode creates a new stability out of that. And I find for me that's very satisfying.
I guess for me it's like, I mean, and refresh my memory, the end of St. Elsewhere was the kid who's dreaming it all. Is that right?
Yeah.
That I found very unsatisfying because it felt like it basically, you know, it threw away everything that you had invested in because none of it was real. On the other hand, the same kind of ending with Newhart as a sitcom was hilarious because the show was so weird, and to have Suzanne Plachette in bed with him, this is what you a blonde? It's like it sort of explained the show in a way with the same characters. So I guess it kind of depends, but I think I'm with Ty. It's like there's a completeness to it, and it's a very satisfying thing when you look at every arc in the show, everything that happens. The things that we talk about, it does feel like it lands in the right place. You know, it feels like it comes to a real conclusion.
The phrasing I have for this, it's the same idea, is whichever one keeps the promises that you made at the beginning. And there's few shows that make promises and then they get to the end and then they pay it off and then they step off, and they're the most satisfying shows that there are. You know, I think The Good Place did that. I think The Wire did that pretty much every season. Was a good place to step off. And then there are some shows that either don't keep the promise or keep the promise and then they get renewed and you got to find new stuff and it destroys everything.
Magnum PI. Magnum PI ended perfectly, had a perfect finale, and then they're like, we're making boatloads of money. Let's do one more season. And then they just ruined, like, oh, Magnum PI didn't die. Thomas Magnum's still alive. And anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like that's there's a show which I will not name that I think had a absolutely perfect first season that completed the story that it was trying to tell, and it was just structurally gorgeous. And now they're on like season 3 or 4, and it just sucks.
I do remember the conversations we had though in season 6. It was like, we are not going to fuck this up. We are going to stick the landing. It's like, and it was really like everything was getting thrown at us. Like you were saying, it was COVID. It was 6 episodes. It was no money. It was like we couldn't be together. It's like it does not matter. It was like it became a mission, because it just felt like, we loved season 5. We were so happy with that. It's probably still my favorite season of the show, and like to not pay it off after that, like unacceptable.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't mind a big turn at the end if the turn is answering the promise that you didn't see that was there.
Yeah.
And then the seeds were properly planted, and then you're like, oh my God, I should have seen it the whole time. And so those are kind of my favorites.
It's harder to do with a series than it is with a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, a movie can have the big reveal, the big twist ending that reframes everything that came before. After you've watched 40 or 50 or 60 hours of a TV show, it's a little harder to have the shock ending, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have a different relationship with a show that lasts that long. It's like they become much more sort of connected and intimate to the viewer. And so you run the risk of really alienating your own fans if you do something that feels like a disservice to what they've invested time and effort in. That's a big deal.
There was I remember the project. There was a particular director whose work I really liked, and showrunner whose work I really liked. And then I realized that he had done this thing that was like, haha, made you care. And got to the end of the thing, and it's like, oh, haha, you cared about these people. Look what I did to them. And I was like, okay, fuck you. Won't happen again. Not
gonna care about it. Exactly.
And that's that betrayal is, you don't come back from that.
I'm going to ask you what shows you're talking about after this.
I'm going to tell you.
Find out. Oh, don't tell us. Alrighty, we're done with the questions, and now we have a little special thing, a little couple thank you videos. Unfortunately, people don't like you as much as I hoped. I wanted a lot more. but I do have, it leads off really strong with, let's go here. This guy you might know. Let me know if you can hear it.
Oh my God.
Hello, podcast friends. I wanted to send a couple thank you notes your way at this being the final episode of The Expanse. So, Rose, could you hit it, please?
Oh my goodness.
Naren, I want to thank you for not firing me that day I suggested that we needed a sexy drummer moment. And Daniel, thank you so much for never making me come visit you in Albuquerque. Wes, I want to thank you for never hugging anybody to death on set with those overdeveloped biceps of yours. And Ty, thank you for never stabbing me. Fans, thank you so much for loving and watching and supporting the show that we all love so much. Thanks, you all.
That was fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
He had Rose playing the piano.
Hi, guys. I wanted this to be a little bit more put together, but, well, this is from a train station in Spain, specifically Cordova. We just go life. Ty, Wes, Naren, I don't even know where to begin to thank you for some of the greatest professional experiences of my life.
Aww.
And the greatest gift my career has had so far. It's been a pleasure. And Ty, I'm still waiting for tickets to that Leaf game. And to the fans, I don't even know where to begin. We wouldn't have been there without you. Certainly not those last 3 seasons. There are no words. Thinking of you all, it's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of this.
Hey there, it's Brian Moynihan, Department of the Expanse, seasons 4 to 6. Just want to say, Naren, thanks for always being our fearless leader and guiding our Rosanaut team to parts unknown. Daniel, always a pleasure having you around. Ty, your attendance was noted. Disappointment. You receive a participation badge, but barely.
Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me and choosing me to be a part of the world of the Expanse. Playing Sakai was a huge, monumental occasion for me as an artist, and getting to play a villain and killing a beloved character was just more than I could have ever dreamed. I love how, fans still remember it and they're still mad at me, and I regret nothing. So thank you for your brilliance and your generosity, and working with you is just amazing. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm still in Spain, but I realized I forgot Daniel. How could I possibly forget you, Daniel? Our lengthy chats at the monitors, some of my favorite memories. I consider myself very lucky that I can maybe call you friend. Anyway, thank you again for the gift of these stories and for the chance to help bring them to life.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That was cool. That was really
I'm
cool.
glad Daniel didn't get forgotten.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was great. Thank you for doing that. That was awesome.
Thanks, Joseph. That was awesome.
I did have some of my own where I'll put that cheesy Jimmy Fallon music with it. But I would like to thank you, Ty and Wes, for endlessly talking about oily beefcake 80s action stars. It never gets old. And I mean, the B-roll is amazing. And then I would like to thank all of our patrons for never getting mad at me for canceling and rescheduling things all the time. And thank you to my Discord peeps for all that you do, especially when I never respond to you in a timely manner, much like Ty and Wes never respond to me.
That's true. We can take the blame for that. That is absolutely true.
Well, it was funny though, because if I complain about you guys and they're like, "Oh, wow," it's like you don't realize that you don't respond to us in a timely manner, and I'm like, yeah, it does roll downhill, doesn't it?
But you know what's I don't know if you know this, but what's true is we did do a whole episode on the hottest male bodies in the 80s or something.
Oh, yeah.
We had Sammer on. And I was telling Sammer,
Sammer was on. We were talking about the hottest bodies
because of his lighting in this season.
Because he was all his beautiful body was out for us all to see.
He had those well-defined cum gutters.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is a family show. Family show.
Okay, and the final thank you to our patrons for supporting us and the show. My daughters have not eaten a shoe in many a months.
Oh, great. That's actually really good news.
Because of your support.
Yes, because of your
Patreons.
support. Yes.
Patreonians.
All righty.
All right, are we doing the top 5?
It's up to you guys. It's you said that you were going to try and rank your top 5 favorite episodes.
Now that we talked about every episode, can we come up with the top 5 episodes? People's we got 5 people here. What's your favorite episode, Naren?
Home. 205.
Is that the one with Miller and he
goes back in there
when he finds
that was mine.
Well, we're
now you got to come up with a different one, Wes.
Okay, we're doing a top 5, right?
Yeah.
So that's a consensus.
So home is
definitely in the top 5.
Gotta be one of them.
Sure.
Yeah, gotta be one of them.
I'm gonna go with Triple Point. Triple Point was my favorite.
What's the episode number on that?
Hell if I know. Let me find out.
What happens in Triple Point?
Triple Point is the mutiny on the Agatha King.
Is that season 3, episode 5?
It's 3 of 6, right?
3 of 6.
No. 3 I know 306 well.
305.
It's 305.
Oh, 305. Okay, it's 305.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, you like that? Interesting.
I
That's an interesting
love that
choice.
one.
Really?
I loved that one.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
No, it was this episode with all of this tension around these characters who we had barely met in this ship that wasn't the one we followed, and it was just tense as hell.
Yeah.
And we cared about these people, and it had that moment when people wouldn't follow Wynn's orders, and it was great. That was awesome.
That was one of my favorite ships. That's for sure.
I think one of my favorites. I think it was 509, where where with all the snow and the house.
There's some really good ones in season 5. I mean, 504, where Fred gets killed. The big attack.
Yeah.
That is a
Gargamel.
Fred gets killed.
Gargamel.
I think that's a fan favorite as well. 504 is definitely a fan favorite.
Yeah.
I also really love salvage. The mutiny on board. The mutiny by the Martians on board, and when they try to take control of the ship. Not mutiny. Sorry, they try to take control of the ship.
Yeah.
Salvage is my favorite for completely different reasons.
Yeah. 306 is a really good episode too. That's with the big battle on Io. It's like there's tons of good.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
That is boy, and then Amos, what the fuck is that? With all the kids pouring. What the
thing that makes me happy. Yeah, the thing that makes me happy. I'm not going to say which two they are, but 2 of the episodes you guys are picking for the top 5 are 2 that Naren had me do the rewrite pass on. That makes me very happy. That means I did a good job on my rewrite pass.
Don't sprain your hand by patting yourself on the back, my friend.
That makes me happy.
So we have 5 of our favorite Expanse episodes, but the best Expanse episode of all time is Die Hard.
Yes, that is correct.
That list is lacking. I gotta love. I love Delta V. Mineo is one of the funniest. That's one of the funniest things.
Oh my god!
Didn't you write Delta V, Naren?
Yeah, but I'm naming it 7 down.
Naren's like, hold on, Ty. I'll see your 2 episodes and let me throw my 20 in there.
Okay, but let's be honest now. Every episode has a rewrite pass by Naren. That is not unusual. Naren does a rewrite pass on everything.
Wait,
so technically, Naren can claim credit for all of the episodes.
Now, Naren, remind me, Delta V. Remind me what happens in that.
Mineo
splat.
Jumps through the ring. Yeah,
dude, is that when he walks by and he's like, hang in there, superstar?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. When the brother walks by in his banana hammock.
Hey, Naren, that's the one where the guy walks by the banana hammock. He's like, hang in there, superstar. Okay, just that moment alone should put that at the top of the list. I think that's the best moment of this series.
It was like we talked about it, and Holden and looking at Holden on the screen and the little Tiger Beat sort of Holden, like the glam picture. I am so fond of that episode. Ken Fink did a great job directing it, by the way. It was hysterical. And I still remember I was sitting there with my wife watching it, and at the end, when he decelerates and the ring turns on and he turns to blood, she screamed.
Dude, I was... I remember watching that episode, and again, like whenever we're watching them after it's done, I don't remember. Yeah. I've read the script, I don't remember anything. But it was so well set up. Like, he was so heartbroken, and he's like risking his life to impress this girl, his girlfriend, and he's so swept up in it. And then you see his brother walking behind him, and he goes, "Hang in there, superstar." And then he walks back, and I was dying. I thought that was my favorite moment in the series. I just thought that was so.
It is an incredibly funny moment. Yeah. And it's basically that moment on the page too. I mean, that is how it is.
I talked about it. It is. I said I don't want to see his face. I just want it from the neck up. He walks back. You don't even see his face.
Yeah. And by the way, that guy body modeled for us a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was also, we used his body as a dead body in an earlier season.
Ty never forgets a banana hammock.
Wasn't he the corpse in season 1 that Miller was pulling the stuff out of?
He was the, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, we used that guy a couple times.
The fake Bitsy Batinko.
Yeah. So we as a joke, we always find a way to shoehorn Die Hard and somewhere. That's what I was making that joke earlier. But I'm curious, Daniel and Naren, because we did our top 5 series finales of all time. What are some of your favorite series finales of all time that you really love? Like shows that you loved and that you thought they ended well, like MASH or Breaking Bad.
MASH was amazing. Breaking Bad was amazing. I was happy with how we did the Star Trek finale, Next Generation. That was a solid.
Oh, that's
season.
That's on lists.
Yeah,
like that's
a
on
good one.
Yeah, that's on list of like best series finales.
I just watched the last season of Better Call Saul. I thought the last episode
phenomenal. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it did a nice
just
job.
A beautiful episode. Yeah, brilliantly done.
I said it before, but I thought The Good Place took a promise that was impossible to pay out and paid it out beautifully.
Yep. Yeah, that's still one of my favorite shows. It's one of those shows that just makes me happy.
It's just a light comedy that reconciles you to the prospect of your own death. I mean, that's kind of awesome.
I thought the Cheers finale was actually really good too.
You know what? The Cheers finale really was for that era of sort of episodic TV.
Yeah.
To have a finale that does such a nice job of closing out this beloved show was very unusual. I think. I think that's why Joseph put MASH on those too. MASH famously had that sort of
sense of closure.
Yeah, exactly.
MASH was really, I think, that was a trailblazing kind of a show. I mean, and it was a phenomenal ending. I mean, I watched that in my entire fraternity in college.
The 5th season of my absolute favorite show of all time, The Wire. The 5th season is not my favorite season, but there is a little montage at the very end of the last episode where it's McNutty driving back into Baltimore, and we just get a few moments with every character and see what they've become since the beginning of the show. And I think that montage is beautiful.
I can still see Bubbles in that montage.
Exactly. And that montage tells the story of The Wire, that it is, Bubbles gets out of the street, so Dookie winds up in it. It is you're shoveling shit in a shit factory. It never goes away. Yeah.
What you were talking about earlier in terms of ending and paying off promises, where does The Sopranos fit in what you were saying, in your opinion?
I'm an outlier on that one. I think that's a pretty satisfying ending. I think that makes the argument of the show. It's a nihilistic, bleak show.
I don't entirely disagree with you. However, how did you feel when you watched it? Because I've come to terms with it as I've thought about it.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
In the moment when I watched it, I was like, what the fuck just happened? Did my TV go dead?
Yeah.
Did they drop a reel? What the fuck's going on here? This is impossible. And then, you think about it and you go, oh, I get it. It's like,
that's what
I don't know. It's an intellectualization.
It's more successful as an idea maybe than an experience. Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate it, but I think in the moment I felt ripped off.
Yeah, I'm with Naren on that. It did not. I understand what you're saying, and I understand you can go back and intellectually kind of shoehorn.
In fairness, I totally went back and intellectually shoehorned. This is not about my experience of watching it. This is about my experience of thinking about it afterwards.
Yeah,
but by that standard, you could say the same thing about many great works of art, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have a reaction to it, but then you think about what it means and it changes what you think about it. So it's I think The Sopranos falls into that category. I mean, and the show earned that.
Part of what has happened in the years since then is a lot of people have explained how that ending had been set up over the entire season. And it was just subtly done and nobody caught it. When you go back and rewatch all that stuff, you're like, oh, I get what they were doing. I get what they were setting up. It makes complete sense now. but it probably means that it wasn't utterly successful in the moment because it was too subtle and nobody caught all the shit leading up, right?
Do you believe it was set up? I don't know if I do.
I do.
Really?
I do believe it was. There's a number of things that are repeated that are setting that moment up. I do believe that.
All right, you guys, when we wrap this up.
Sure. It's fun.
Thank you guys for hanging out. This was such a great experience doing this little series called The Expanse. It's so good to finish this off with my dear friends. Good to see Naren, Sugar Shank, Daniel Father Abraham. and what's Tangerine Tie? Tangerine Tie, Frank.
I'll take that. Tangerine is great.
Thank you, Patreons, for supporting the show. Thank you guys for hanging out. We love you. See you soon. Say goodbye, Ty.
Goodbye, Ty.